crankcase on my mini bike engine gain enough performance where it's actually measurable? Will adding a vent increase performance enough where you can measure it with a draggy performance meter? So I have this Megamoto 80-105 with a Tillotson 225. It's running a billet flywheel, a billet rod, a 330 cam, a shred head with shaft mounted rockers, a 24mm flat slide, and a header pipe. It has a billet side cover with the vent holes blocked, and then the vent holes blocked on the valve cover. So I'm going to take this bike out for a 0 to 30 and top speed run unvented, and then I'll install a vent from the crankcase over to the valve cover and then into the catch can, and then I'll take the bike back out for the same test, and we'll see if there's any noticeable or measurable performance gain. So adding a crankcase vent to a stock engine or maybe a mildly modified engine really probably won't make much of a difference. I mean, because it's not really revving that high and it's not creating a lot of crankcase pressure. So there's a few different ways to potentially gain power by venting the crankcase. So one is by reducing crankcase pressure, it reduces ring flutter. So with less ring flutter, you get a better seal between the rings and the cylinder wall. You have less of a chance of oil getting pushed past the rings up into the combustion chamber. So therefore you have a cleaner burn, so a more efficient combustion. And then another way you gain power by adding a crankcase vent is you reduce pumping losses, because with high crankcase pressure, you figure there's resistance against the piston as it comes down and the crank as it's turning. So there's less resistance against the piston and the crank and the rotating assembly. And in turn, potentially, you gain power. And then another way a vent helps potentially is you vent all the moisture and oil mist out of the crankcase. So therefore, you're adding to the longevity of the engine. So there's quite a few reasons they say it helps to vent the crankcase. So I'll take this bike out and get some baseline numbers on it, and then I'll come back and we'll install a vent on here, and then I'll take it back out for the same test and we'll see what happens. Alright, so I'll just run the draggy right now, and I'll get some 0 to 30 times, and then a top speed. Alright, 0 to 30 with the draggy. Alright, there's the first 0 to 30. 3.92. Let me see if I can back that up real quick. .74. Alright, so there's my 0 to 30 baseline. Now let's see if I can get a top speed on this. Let me see if I can grab a top speed here. we got 66.12. Pretty much peaked out right there. So we got a 3.74 0 to 30 best time, and then 66.12 top speed. So now I'll throw a vent on here and we'll see if we can beat those numbers. So for my vent kit, I have my hose separators, my 1/4 inch fittings. It'd be better if I had 3/8 fittings, but this is all I have for right now, so a 1/4 inch will have to work. Then I have my 1/4 inch inside diameter line, and then I have my one-way check valve. That's what's cool about these ARC side covers. It's already set up for a vent, and then the valve cover is already set up for a vent. It's already got the fittings or the holes tapped. All right, one in there nice and snug. Figure out how long I need this hose, or how long I want this hose. And I'll see if I can match up my next line here. Okay, that ought to work. So for my clamps, I don't have any. So for this test, I'm gonna have to break out the old zip tie mod. I mean, it'll be good enough for this test. I mean, you figure the zip ties are lighter than clamps, so it'll save weight. So that'll pretty much do it for this side anyway. But there is one more mod that I need to put on here. So if you throw these separators on here, these are good for at least, what, 5 miles per hour per separator? So the bike will definitely be a lot faster with the separators on here. So that looks pretty good. So we got what, 5, 10, 15 miles an hour faster right there. So now let me throw the check valve on here. So obviously I have the catch can already installed on here. So this is where I'm going to install my one-way check valve between the valve cover and the catch can. So that way it's not sucking air back into the crankcase. It only lets oil out into the catch can. So we got the check valve on there, and I found some clamps for this one. So now oil can run out of the valve cover through the check valve into the catch can, but air can't come back. So that's at least another 5 miles an hour. So now I'll see if I can beat 66.12 top speed and 3.74 0 to 30. And if it doesn't beat it, at least it looks cool. Over here to the same road. Okay. Let's set up this app here. See if I can beat up on 66.12 for top speed.
So far we got a 65.83. It's actually a little bit slower, but I kind of had to shut it down right there. Let's see if I can get this draggy connected here. Zero to 30. Vented crankcase. Okay, so we did a 3.83. Try that again. Okay, we did a 3.92 second time around. Let me do it one more time just to make sure. Alright, seems like it's off about, I don't know, like a tenth or so. Let me do it one more time just to make sure. Yeah, 3.92 again.
Bike saw massive gains with the crankcase vent. So with a non-vented crankcase, we did a 3.74 0 to 30 and then a 66.12. Then I vented the crankcase and we did a 3.83 and then a 3.92. So it seems like it's about, I don't know, a tenth or two off. And then we dropped a little top speed, 65.83. So was the top speed less because I had to get off of it a little bit early on that last run? So you can definitely see the vent working when the bike's idling. I mean, it's definitely equalizing the pressure. I don't think it's a game-changing performance mod, at least on your average mini bike. I mean, it might make a difference on a drag bike that's turning 10,000 RPM or something with a huge cam. But on your average mini bike, I'm not sure if it's that big of a deal, but it does look cool. So that's worth at least 5 or 10 miles per hour right there.